person in a room, which would be really cool. Or sometimes these sorts of trainings, I can see you all or hear you and conference you in and sort of get some feedback that way. That is an incredibly important question that's coming from Lachlan. Yes, it is a Victoria Trade School Council hat. I was in Australia in December and bought this hat. Then I lost it in transit and had them send me another one because I like hats. I'm going bald. It covers my hairline. General things about my politics. So yes, the most important question of the day has come from Lachlan already. Thank you. We're going to give one more minute and then we're going to jump in to the presentation. But yeah, again, if I can just reiterate, please do be active and respond and tell me if you can't understand me or my jokes are stupid or you want me to dive into something in a little bit more detail. This is going to be a very much a 30,000 feet overview of some of the general principles of petitions, some of the different ways that you can make petitions successful and think about how to make petitions successful for your organization, what success really looks like in a sort of excessively existential way. I will be giving lots of examples from different organizations of petitions, some good, mostly good, a few bad. And then I'm really happy to dive in further detail offline after this. But yeah, this is very much a 30,000 foot overview. My apologies if you all are experienced with online petitions. Some of this may be a bit below kind of your level of experience, and I apologize. But we're gonna take things from there. Without further ado, shall I share my screen and we'll dive in?
Mikey, do you want to give me some direction on how you want me to handle
Some of you are beginners. Fantastic. Fantastic, that's great. How will we reach out to you afterwards if you decide you want to? My email address is in the thing, mikey@newmode.net. Beth Becker is here. Now it's a party. And if you would like to contact me afterwards, I'll put my email in the chat. My email's in the presentation. You can ping me on the chat in this app. I will also be in the New Mode booth in the expo on the tab it should be there. Don't click it now because then you'll leave the session. But there on my computer. And then you can come find me there and have a chat about petitions. Damn it, got it wrong. It's there on my computer. Something like that. Come have a chat with me about petitions and also about my organization, New Mode. Most of this presentation will be about, very funny, most of this presentation will be about petitions, almost all of it in fact, but it would be remiss of me not to mention now that there is going to be a very brief bit at the end where I talked about the product that my company sells and how we can improve upon your petitions with it. But this is not a sales pitch. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I will mention what I do anyway. So, I am going, without further ado, I am going to start presenting this petition. I've been said the word petition too many times. And share my screen to you all. Present to view. Can you?
I'm not.
You can't. Oh,
I'm not.
Trina, hi, lovely to see you. But I'm afraid I must request, there we go, done, terrific, thank you. It looks like I can only share the whole thing, which is slightly annoying, but that's fine. Thank you for bearing with me. You would never know that I was a digital director for many years based on the fact that I can't use a slideshow. So that's good, isn't it? Org 2.0 deck, there we go. I really do hope that is the file that I want. Is my desktop a mess? You've got to know me a little bit better before I'll give you an honest answer to that question. Present it. There we go. Okay. No, it's not going to work. So yes, to say mess is perhaps an okay. There we go. The third time I'm going to do it correctly. Believe me. I want to confirm also that I know more about petitions than I do about Google Slides. Present. Good. Great. When it appears. Okay. Okay, can you all see that? Marvellous. Just a quick refresher. Two really key things. The first one is that bottom image, okay, where you see the picture of my screen, double click on it so it's full screen for you, right? I'm not very pretty, my slides are pretty, so put the slides big and then me small. And try not to do that. Done, marvellous, thank you, Jesse. Can we have a done in the chat from a few of you once you've made the slides big and me small? Jimena, thank you so much. Neil, Adriana, Emily, Jason, Kiana, Sue, Elise, Leonardo, RD, fantastic, great, that's quorum, right? We're going with that. Okay, and then the second thing, just as a reminder, that one that I've circled up top, that collapses the chat in and out. Having the chat's great, I'm really enjoying it. It's really cool to kind of see you all and hear from you all, not see you all, but hear from you all, interact with you all. But if you want to see the slides a bit bigger, you can close out the chat with that one. Gonna have to call security on Beth Becker in a second, but other than that, I think we're good to go. So, hi, that's me. That's my then 2-year-old, now 3-year-old daughter Maya. She's a young sister who's nearly 1, Rosa. I'll talk about them a lot. Actually, there are no other photos of them in this training, which is extremely rare. I almost never do a training without many photos of my children. That's my email, which I'll have again at the end of the thing. And look, how much I respect you all and respect the Organising 2.0 community, that I'm wearing a button-down shirt for the first time since March 15th. Will you get these slides? Yes. And I can throw in a bonus picture. I will email them to you all via, I can send you via Sked. So if you're on Sked and registered for the session, I'll send a copy of them. And then also you can always just drop me a line and I can send them to you as well. So you say that now, you haven't seen any of the content. You might not want them once I've finished this presentation. But anyway, just the agenda really quickly, the things we're going to go over. I've basically split up the principles of petitions into 3 blocks. There's content, there's personalization, and then there's strategy. And then afterwards, I'm going to quickly talk to you about building the ladder of engagement, which is when I'm going to be cheeky and mention the product that my company sells. And then we'll have some time for some questions at the end. Yes, Sked is SCHED. That's where you can find the slides that well, you can't find them there yet, but you can find them there once I send them on to you. Because I'm English, I'm obviously drinking a cup of tea. Okay then. So again, we're gonna go with some fairly basic principles here. If there are things that are new to you, that's fantastic. If there are things, I'm keeping a pretty good eye on the chat. So if there are things that I'm mentioning and you've got some additional stuff you want to mention, please throw that in the chat. I'll read them out and I'll try and be responsive to what you're saying. So let's rock and roll. First thing with content is you've got to keep it short and snappy. Online petitions are everywhere. Loads and loads of people are running them and they're trying to run them on every issue under the sun. And to some extent, that's actually a fairly defensible thing to do. It's a very good first action to take, first way to test the waters with your supporters around how they feel about an issue. But a problem that often happens is that you then create a petition that's a laundry list of issues, or you create a petition about absolutely everything. And you miss what one of the key opportunities of a petition is, which is to gauge support from your list of supporters around a particular issue, and also inform them about a particular issue as well. So I'll be honest and say, even though I've been following the COVID-19 news fairly closely, I wasn't totally up to speed in terms of that was nearly a terrible verbal typo. The funding cuts to the World Health Organization that the Trump administration has proposed. And so the first thing is, this is an example of a petition I got recently from Move On that I think is a really good example. This is short, this is snappy. You can see who it's to, and you can see in the title exactly what they're calling for, right? When you're creating a petition, if you're starting brainstorming on paper or brainstorming in a Google Doc or whatever, try and get the title of your petition to explain the whole cause that you are shooting for. This is the first and most important thing, I would say, is keep your petition short and snappy. moving on. Create urgency as well. A lot of the examples I'm going to be showing you today are related to COVID. Why should your supporters sign a petition now? And I think one of the things I want to try and convey to you throughout the process of this session is that it's tempting to do petitions about everything. And if you've got a lot of capacity in your organization and your strategy is really around doing email petitions, that's okay. But actually, if you're thinking we're going to do 1 or 2 this month, what should they be about? A really hard steer that I would give you is urgency, because you want people to have a need to sign it now. So this is a really good example of a petition that has real urgency around it. Any suggestion? Thank you for that question, Ethan. I'll come to it in just a second. Any petition that's got urgency around it is going to be more likely to compel people to sign now. And the reality is, this session is called Online Petitions That Aren't BS. Your supporters also know that quite a lot of online petitions are BS. You know, when I remember during the Kavanaugh confirmation fight in 2018, there were petitions that were being run by some rather unscrupulous Democratic-aligned organisations that were, you know, tell Mitch McConnell to reject Kavanaugh, sign now. Well, that was very likely to happen, wasn't it? So make sure that when you're creating your petition, first, it's short and snappy. Secondly, that you've got real urgency. And there's a reason why your supporters need to sign now, because that's also more likely to lead you to a victory, like this campaign here, from started by a coalition of Trader Joe's workers on the coworker.org platform. If you don't know about Coworker, by the way, definitely look them up. One of the most amazing organizations doing labor organizing in the US and around the world at the moment. This was started by Trader Joe's workers who need hazard pay now. And that's such a compelling, such an urgent campaign, because they're in the front line with COVID-19. And it's not surprising to me that they were able to get real success. Have a specific ask. Now, this is slightly different to the first, this is slightly different to some of the sort of petitions that you'll see, which aren't without value if you're just trying to create public awareness around an issue that I mentioned, you know, bad things are bad, good things are good. But again, if you're trying to build campaigns that are sincere, petition campaigns that are real and genuine, having a specific ask that can be implemented by the person that you are demanding it of is absolutely key as well. This is a UK organisation called 38 Degrees. They are wanting people to, they are asking the UK government to do a specific thing that they know they have the power to do. And that's really, really important as well. Make an ask that isn't amorphous, that isn't just awareness raising, but is a specific thing that is targeting to the person you're talking to that they want, that they have the power to do. That's absolutely critical as well. Ethan says a little bit earlier, any suggestions for how to get the people who want to write a thesis paper in their petition to cut it down? Well, assuming these people are supporters or members of your organisation over whom you have some degree of say, I would give them a firm limit. I would say you want a petition title that is no longer than about 15 words, and you want a petition introduction that is no longer than about 150. And even that is pretty long, okay? So, yeah, 15 words is a pretty good, not 14 words. 15 words is a pretty good rule of thumb there. Clearly identify your target. That's actually related to the previous thing, right? Not all petitions have to target the government. This is from the organisation, some of us, who do really cool work identifying corporate backing to human rights abuses and environmental disasters and things like that, and find specific leverage targeting those corporations. So here, this is a really good example, also my next point as well, that you're not, Adani's an awful coal thing. It's sort of the like Keystone XL of Australia. I'm not Australian, just in case that wasn't clear. The accents are similar, but they're not the same. The tell Siemens to ditch the dreadful Adani coal mine project in Australia. This is not just cancel Adani, because that's amorphous, doesn't mean anything. Who should cancel it? It's not even tell the government to cancel Adani, because they've done an analysis and they've recognised that the government is supportive of it. They found a different target that they can clearly identify and make a serious case to their supporters can be moved by their pressure. And so it's tell Siemens to ditch this project, because Siemens are providing critical infrastructure, but some of us knows that their base of supporters have leverage over Siemens. And then nice visuals as well. I know this is kind of basic, but it doesn't. This is a nice graphic that Empower Change, a really rad Muslim community organisation who work with my firm New Mode. They created this graphic for a petition, right? And I just thought this was really great that you know, it's the iconic Amazon arrow, but it's upside down, so it looks sad. It's breaking it up. This was a thing they did around Valentine's Day, so it's really timely. And it's just a really tight visual and added a lot to the petition and helped them get a lot more conversions as well. So yeah, quickly recapping, keep it scrappy, be urgent, make a clear ask, clearly identify your target. I would like to start a petition for the fly. It's buzzing around my head to piss off, but that may be unrealistic. And then finally, nice visuals always help. That was a very, very quick overview of content. Any questions? Hi, Hillary. Any questions on this before we dive into the next section, which is around personalization? A former colleague of mine many years ago was a real expert at, was a remote organization at leading online meetings and online trainings. And she said that you should never have any silence. So I'm going to have to talk non-stop. Well, it's only for another 25 minutes, I guess. But unless you ask questions, I will have to keep talking. Do I recommend a different image for each petition? That's a really interesting question. I think it doesn't necessarily have to be a designed image, right? If you have capacity, you should test and see what works, whether with a real test or with like something anecdotal. But I know, for example, there are certain organizations where putting a picture of Trump at the top of the petition really helps increase conversions. It can just be an image that you pull off the internet, right? It doesn't have to be a nicely designed image like this. And I think if there are things that you find are effective. I used to work at an organization called Jewish Voice for Peace, which is a Palestinian liberation organization. Picture of Sheldon Adelson would always increase conversions. We use the same hideous picture of him again and again and again. Can I summarize slowly again, Marianne? Could you say a bit more about what you would like me to slowly summarize again? And then, yes, I would be delighted to. But in the absence of further questions, I'm going to move quickly, briefly, on to personalization. The key points or steps. Yes. If I was clever, I would have had a recap slide at the end of the section, wouldn't I? That would have been good praxis. Keep it short and snappy. Create urgency. Have a clear task, or have a clear ask and have a clear target. Short, urgent, know your ask, know your target. Website, says Patty, change.org or have your own. We're going to talk about that. I've got a whole section on that in just a second. And any tips around fields, that's great. I'm going to write these down. I'm going to jump on, because I think quite a lot of the stuff I'm going to get to in the third section around strategy. So I'm going to write these down and then we'll get back to them once I've come through. But if there's anything that you are interested in specifically around the content that I'm talking about, do jump in. I appreciate the chances to break this up. Count to 10 while I drink this. Yes, Ethan, thank you. That would be terrific if you could write them down and then we could revisit them. That'd be marvelous. Thank you. So, moving on from this visual of breaking up Amazon, let's talk about personalization. And I have to say, it did pain me to spell it with a Z, but I did for you. I'm American now. I was naturalized as a citizen in 2018. But nevertheless, I think it has an S. So this is really, really crucial. I've said that about all of them, but this one is really important. If you are a specific issue, put a human face on what you're doing. This one comes from change.org. A lot of my examples come from change.org, not because I'm recommending them as a platform, just because they have a website that's very easy to navigate. This was an amazing campaign, right? This was a decades-long campaign to overturn appalling homophobic ban on gay scouts and scoutmasters from the Boy Scouts of America. But this campaign was a real breakthrough moment in terms of getting popular support, getting earned media attention, getting the issue into the public spotlight. And one of the reasons is that this very charming young man, Ryan, was a human face for the campaign. It's going to be more resonant for your members, and it's going to be more resonant for your petition targets if you've got a human story that you can attach to the campaign that really makes the issue real and helps explain it. You can write great copy, you can follow all the tips I mentioned before in the content strategy, but in the content section, but far and away the most important thing you can do kind of as an organizer beyond the content is finding a human story, a member of your organization, someone that you know about. It doesn't have to be a member, right? You can really, criminal justice organizations, for example, have done really, really powerful and impactful campaigns around, racial justice campaigns, excuse me, have done really impactful campaigns around the killings of unarmed young black men. Not necessarily, sometimes in consult with the families of those men who've been murdered, sometimes not, but elevating their stories through petitions, using them as a storytelling tactic, that can be really effective as well. But when it's not just in the abstract, I mean, we all know that like a ban on gay scouts is horrendous and homophobic and bad in the abstract, but if you can add a level of specificity, if you can add a person who the media wants to write about and open their stories with, that's going to really make a big difference. Another example, I actually think she might be in the digital conference today. Molly Catchpole, who's an amazing organizer who I think a bunch of you in New York probably know because she's very much in the New York labor space, was recruited by Change.org in 2011 to run a campaign or to start a petition campaign about Bank of America debit card fees, and it went super mega viral and was one of the first like breakout campaigns for that organization because they had this compelling human face of a then early 20s person who could convey the issue really appropriately. So put a human face on it. Doesn't have to be a human face. Look at that sad dog. Don't you want to do whatever you need to do to protect that dog? Carol Baskin wouldn't hurt that dog, but she might feed her husband to it. Topical joke. But in all seriousness, this is a serious this is a serious issue, the Animal Cruelty Act, which was passed. I think it was actually a young woman not far from where I live in Maryland who started this petition. Dogs are indeed the best, I agree. Jessie, I don't have one, but I'd like one. My 3-year-old said the other day that she wants a dog, so that's begun. This is similar to the visuals thing, right? Because I don't know that that's a specific dog, but if you can convey a sense of empathy, this is about empathy and urgency, right? And it's about tugging on people's heartstrings, and a human story does that, and a sad dog does that too. Beth, if you buy my children a dog, I will never talk to you again, ever again. Thank you. Moving on, and then the other piece of personalization is not just providing human stories on the front end, so not just giving the campaign a human face from you, but actually allowing your supporters to feel a real sense of buy-in to the campaign as well by soliciting stories from them. So you put a human face on your end, but then this is just one of the little cheeky things from my company. This is a thing that you can do with our toolset, which does have petition functionality that I will surely get to. You can say, you can write a petition or an email to a target like a congressman, and then you can add a section where people write their own thoughts. So you don't just have people sign the petition and agree to the general message. You collect stories, and this really has 2 functions. Actually 3, I suppose. The first one is it helps your supporters buy in and feel a sense of ownership of the campaign. The second one is that it helps you identify supporters that you could then follow up with for more organizing opportunities, people who've got compelling and interesting things to say about the issues you campaign on. And then the third reason is that you can then give the stories to the decision makers, right? You can say, if you're meeting with a congressman or meeting with a business, look at this person who said, I'm a Siemens customer. Siemens, they used to make mobile phones, right? Like, I'm a Siemens customer, or I'm a constituent of yours. Here is what I feel personally, and that's going to make the follow-up strategy, which is what we're going to get to in just a second, that much more effective if you can do that. Jimena, thank you for that question. What do you do with the stories when you have them? And can I speak at some point about smaller scale petitions like a workplace campaign? Yes. Ethan, can you copy those and then we'll come back to them? I'm going to take Jimena's question now quickly, actually, which is what do you do with stories depending on the tool that you're using? I'm going to talk about tools in just a second. You should be able to see in the back end of the tool what the stories are, and it'll be, so-and-so email address said this. You should have a human being, a member of your staff, read through them and pull out the ones that are compelling, and then follow up with them as fits your campaign strategy, whether that's to connect them with the media or invite them to a meeting or do a follow-up organising call, or just print them when you deliver your petition and have the messages alongside them as well. But do read through them, like have a human being read through them. Great job for an intern, provided you pay your interns. If you don't pay your interns, you shouldn't have interns. Moving on to strategy. The previous one was personalization, but this is with a noun and this one's a verb. That's an inconsistency in my slides that I've just noticed. And I will edit it before I send it on to you. But strategize. First thing, choose your battles. Like, start a petition that is useful and meaningful. CrossFit gyms, not essential under any stretch of the imagination to anyone. I'm not averse to CrossFit. That's a lie. I am averse to CrossFit. But there's a pandemic on, people. Your CrossFit gym does not need to stay open. Make sure that the petitions you're starting are, you don't have to really think you're going to win, but it has to be important enough that you think your supporters want to sign it. Clearly, 834 people who do CrossFit, they tell you they do CrossFit and they care about CrossFit. So presumably they also seemingly want to sign a petition to protect CrossFit. Fair enough. But you, as organisers, as campaigners, should choose battles that are worthy of petitions. Don't swing at stuff that's petty. It's a good way to lose trust in your list. The next thing is be realistic about your goals. That's not to say that you should not start a petition that you think is unlikely to win just because you want to give your supporters an opportunity to vent their frustration or make their voices heard. But be realistic about whether or not you actually think you can achieve what you're going for. This is a petition on the petitions.gov in the UK. It was like the old White House petitions here, but they had it for the UK Houses of Parliament as well, to prevent Donald Trump from making a state visit to the UK. Now, this was not successful. He did indeed make a state visit, but because of the outcry, 1 million people, that is pretty extraordinary, right? That is 1 in 70 people in the UK. It's about 1 in 40 adults signed this petition, which is pretty amazing. Because of this, it was a very small state visit during the Theresa May premiership. It was a working visit or something like that. But at the time, he didn't have the full sort of pomp and circumstance that obviously, being an overgrown 6-year-old, he wanted. And that is a success, right? They were realistic about the goal. They weren't necessarily going to prevent the state visit, but they were going to prevent or remove some of the honour from the experience, and they achieved that. The next thing is when we're going to quickly talk about platforms. Be realistic about your goals, part 2. And this is really important, and I should have added some more visual aids, so I'm sorry about that. But is the goal of your petition to win? Maybe. Is the goal of your petition to move the needle? Yes. Is the goal of your petition to grow your email list? Yes, 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 yes. That's one of the absolutely key things about petitions. Yes, they're good for showing support for your issues. Yes, they're good for potentially winning campaigns. But really what they're about is growing your base of supporters, identifying supporters, growing your email list. And so I wanted to give these 2 examples, which comes to the question about platforms. The first one on the left is the UK government petitions website. A lot of people signed it, but the people who created the petition, they can't contact the people who signed it. They can't do any follow-up organising. Action Network, on the other hand, other people created a petition on Action Network. It did not get 1 million signatures. But the people who created that petition now have the email addresses of everyone who signed it. And that is absolutely crucial. So if you're a small organization that is thinking about starting to do petitions, it's going to be really tempting to go to a petition platform company, whether that's change.org or Care2, or to work with an organization that has a partnership program like MoveOn. In reality, there may be advantages to doing that. If you're at a big organization with a substantial email list, you probably already know about some of those partner programs or about the list swaps that Daily Cos run. And if you don't know about those, feel free to ping me. I'm happy to make some introductions. But if you're thinking about starting a petition program, kind of beefing up your online activism, I strongly, strongly urge you to use a platform like Action Network. That Action Network would be my #1 recommendation, other than the tool that it is my job to sell, which I suppose should be my #1 recommendation, but in this instance, not sure it is. With Action Network or with a similar client like Action Network with Numode, which is the organization that I work for, or if you're using Nation Builder or something like that, you are able to create your, Action Network and Numode do work really well together. Ethan, thank you for doing my sales pitch for me. Yes, we have a great integration with Numode. I won't get to that, but if you've got your own email tool, Action Network, Nation Builder, Numode, or others, then you can create the petitions and you can get all of the details from people. And you, crucially, to come back to the question earlier, can ask for the form fields that you want that are relevant to you. Generally speaking, the more form fields that you ask for, the lower conversions, right? You want fewer fields. However, if you're doing a petition, for example, as Lachlan mentioned, at a workplace, you really make sure that the people, you do want a checkbox to make sure that the people who petition, you want to know whether they work there, and you want to get comments from them or feedback about specific issues. I will say, honestly, if you're doing something as small as a workplace where you're not trying to kind of have it go viral, you're not interested in public, and you're much more interested in like a specific narrow universe, there is a case to be made for using Google Docs, right? For using a Google form, because you can collect a lot more information and you can be a lot more discerning about how you share it. This training is more thinking about when you want a petition that's potentially every action absolutely does that as well. Yes, that's true. Every action kit, Nation Builder, Action Network, all of those are more comprehensive, email fundraising, and they've got a bit of advocacy. And the advocacy they do is petitions. Numode is slightly different in that we're not your email fundraiser and we're not your mass email tool, but we do a lot more different kinds of campaigns that I will come to in just a second. Marianne asked a great question, which is which ones also extended email private companies do, right? So I don't think that, for example, change.org to do. I know that with most of the platforms where you control your own data, you can set it up. Certainly with the Numode platform, you can either where everything goes to one target, their own congressman, MP, etc., etc. So just to continue, right? This is one of the potential perks. This is a chart, it's a bit granular. This is a chart from Daily Cos, big online organization, of the size of their list week on week. What happened in November 2016? That was a good month, wasn't it? Yeah, great times. But it was very good for list size. And so, just to go back to you can have a viral petition, but if it's on someone else's platform, you don't get the benefit of that because you've built your house on someone else's land. Those are not people you can now. Those are not people you can now follow up with for fundraising. If you host your own petitions on your own platform, you have the potential for this, right? For your petition to take off and for you to achieve a sudden increase in your list, which is huge, right? That's massive. The next thing that's really important is being honest with your supporters. So many organizations don't do this. I'm guilty of this. If you send out a petition and you tell people that you're going to run a campaign, actually run the campaign and actually tell them what you've done. This is a campaign I work with at JVP. asking Lauryn Hill to cancel a concert in occupied Palestine. She did, and we sent her a big card, and then we wrote to the people who signed the petition to tell them that we sent the big card. Do that. If you deliver the petition in person, which is my next slide. This is 38 degrees in the UK, dressing up as doctors. Yeah, this would not fly now, would it? Yeah, you could not do this. This was like 3 or 4 years ago. And delivering the petition to the Department of Health, created great visuals. They got a lot of earned media out of this as well, right? Which is another of the reasons why we're all here, is to try and get good earned media. Not just to create petitions, but then to get other people to pay attention to our campaigns once we've written a petition. Oh, Lead Now just did a really cool thing. Thank you, Ethan. Can you say a little bit more about that in the chat? And then we can jump into that. They got 3 MPs on the call with them, I think. But yeah, deliver your petition and then tell your supporters you delivered the petition, because you're not just bringing in people to your organisation for this one petition. If it's the first time they see your organisation, it's the first thing they sign. You want it to not be the only thing they sign, and the way to do that is to build trust. Update them on how your campaign goes. Deliver your petition when you can do that in person, or as Ethan mentioned, there's Lead Now, which is they start to move on in Canada. They did a 1,000-person petition delivery on Zoom. They got 3 MPs to join their call, 1 Liberal, 1 NDP, 1 Green, I think, and give them a talk to them. And so it's hard. We've all got to be creative and do different things in this particular moment. But find ways to build that trust with your supporters. That's really crucial as well. So that's the end, sort of. This is just a quick checklist that I like to ask myself before I write a petition. Can it help? Is the content compelling? Is there a human story? Do you have a media plan? Do you have a delivery plan? How are you following up with signatories? If you ask yourself those questions each time, you're going to have good petitions, you're going to run good campaigns, you're going to build trust with your list. Let's go back to this before I make you listen to me talk about my product. What are MPs? MPs are members of Parliament in Canada or the United Kingdom or Australia or other people. Thank you very much indeed. What about suggestions for best platform? The Numo platform is really good. I'm going to talk about it in a second. But if you have new mode, you also need an email tool. If you're planning to do lots of different kinds of digital campaigns like calling or tweet storms, you should probably get new mode. If your main focus is going to be email actions and petitions, my #1 recommendation, far and above anything else, is Action Network. If you are looking to start your own petition platform, which is to say you want your members to be able to create their own petitions, there's a company that does that called Control Shift as well. But my #1 recommendation for your own platform for creating your own petitions, far and above anything else, would be Action Network. And then new mode, which I'll get to in a second. What about fields on the form? Fields on the form, few as possible, but ask the questions that you need to ask, and it's okay to ask for phone numbers. Phone numbers are really valuable. How do I get to the, there we go. Are there ethical, legal, or pragmatic problems with masking your organization? Yes, I think there are. And there are groups that, like, some of the big Democratic PACs who are raising loads and loads of money, are building their list through scam, but are really popular. We've had an email to sign a birthday card to Michelle Obama. Which, Michelle Obama, love her, but she's fine without my signature on her birthday card. She's had a rich and full life, but they use that to build their email list, and oftentimes there will be no mention that it comes from Resistance Grifter Pack or whatever they're actually called. So I think do be honest about it. It's fine if you do stuff in coalition. You'd like to have a kind of longer list of organizations, but if you're going to opt people into your email list, you need to tell them that you're doing that, right? Or they're going to immediately unsubscribe and it's going to mess up your spam scores anyway. So you need to, somewhere in a petition, even if it's not the main branding, by signing this, or click here to be opted into the email list of organization. What if you can't deliver a petition in person? That's really hard. Obviously, at the moment, we can't do anything in person, so this Zoom call was one exciting idea. There are probably others as well, but I'm trying to think what else you could do. Yeah, like virtual rallies. You would get everyone to tweet out. You could like do a graphic, like 100,000 people sign it, and get all of the supporters to tweet it out. We have a tweet storm tool. I'm going to talk about it in a second. There are different creative ideas. I think this moment calls us to be creative, which is really hard. Best platform or tools for mass texting. For mass texting, I have to recommend the company I work for, NewMode. We have a text tool. It's pretty good. It's fairly inexpensive. For peer-to-peer texting, where you like have an ongoing conversation rather than just a chatbot, I personally recommend GetThrough. That's GETTHRU. GetThrough. We have a really good peer-to-peer platform. Is Action Network free, says Patty? They have a free tier, which has a lot of functionality. There's a lot of stuff that isn't free that you have to pay for. But you can get most of the functionality for as little as about $10 a month if you're at a small community group. They have everyone from tiny individuals paying $0 to daily cause and the AFL-CIO kind of funding everything they do. So they work with everyone, small and large. They're amazing. I love them. Fields on the form should match with your present database. Yes, collecting birthday is interesting. It's not something I've heard of before, but definitely name, email, zip code, etc. I talk very fast and in a different accent. Well, anything else that I haven't gotten to? No, so I'm going to run through my remaining slides. That's the checklist. While we're flattening the curve, let's also build our ladder of engagement. Petitions are great, but they're the easiest, quickest thing to do, right? Click here to sign. What's the next thing you're asking your supporters to do? Donate, right? For sure. But then also you want to give them more involved, more exciting methods of getting in touch with decision makers. Not just petitions, not just emails, but also get on the phone with legislators. We know firsthand how effective and effective that is. Fax people as well. That still works really well. If your supporters are willing to, get them to write letters to the editors of local newspapers, spread your message through the media, do all these things in conjunction with your petitions, in conjunction with petition deliveries, and then also spread your message on social media with tweet storms. If only there was an organization that offered all of these tools for one low price. There is, it's called NewMode, I work there. Mikey at newmode.net, hit me up. For all of these things and more, and like, you know, general jokes and idiocy. That was a acceptable content of sales pitching us, right? As a proportion of the overall presentation, that wasn't too much. Great. Thank you, Ari. We've been friends for a long time. I expect you to say that. All good. Thank you. Jesse, someone I don't know. So not bad. Great. Is there a link available for the checklist? I'm going to send out the presentation which has the checklist in it. Any questions? Look at that dog. There we go. Another dog. So we're at time, which is great. I've never been on time for anything in my life before, ever. But I can hang around for a minute if you would like to stick around, ask some questions. Or if you want to actually chat, I could hop over to the expo. And then you can like jump in and have a conversation with me. And I can see you and not just talk at you and be real. What does NewMode actually do? Brian, when I find out, I'll let you know. What does NewMode actually do? NewMode is a multi-channel engagement tool that progressives around the world use to win on the issues. We make campaigning tools. We make it really easy for your organization to connect your supporters with people who make decisions that affect your organization. So click here and call your member of Congress. We do that. Click here and send a fax to your member of Congress. We do that. Petitions and emails, we do that. Send a tweet to your member of Congress or anyone else, and write a letter to the editor of newspapers. Multi-channel engagement, so lots of different campaigning tools. Yes, Matt, I'm a massive, massive Arsenal fan. I grew up, my parents live about a mile from the Arsenal stadium. You are all really delightful. I'm just going to put my email in the chat. And my number too. I'm all about texting. Hit me up if you've got questions, you want to see some of this, you want to, do I have another slide? Do I have another slide with my email on it? Yes, there we go. Am I going to send the slides around? I am going to send the slides around. Yes. Thank you all very much indeed. This has been really cool. Thank you for listening to me. I hope this was entertaining and a good addition to your Friday. Really, really thankful. I want to shout out to Ethan, amazing moderator, top guy as well, Campaign Gears. They do wicked work. Ari, who's been huge, Planning Organising 2.0, also a fantastic person, genius organiser. Thank you from Brussels. Do I have a Twitter account? Yes, at Mikey Franklin, my name. My tweets are very bad, like very, very bad. But follow me anyway. I want more followers. Thank you, Matt. Hype guy, Matt Fitzgerald. This has been so good for my ego. We should do this once a week. Thank you, Tiffany, for that lovely comment. Aww. Jessica, what a lovely thing to say. I'm going to go over to the expo now. I'm going to be in my booth, the New Mode booth. I would absolutely love it if a few of you came and joined me there, and we could have like a proper chat, and I could talk to you and learn things about you, and not just have you listen to me. That's so nice. So I'm going to. Is it possible to link my expo booth? Can I do that? Let's see. I'm going to put a link and see if I think I probably can. Let's find out. And then we can like, have a little chat. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to put a link to. There we go. I'm going to the expo now, so I'm going to close this out, jump into the expo. If you still want to talk, I'll be there. Come have a chat. Thank you so much, folks. This was wicked. We will send out the slides through Scared. Thank you all for being amazing, for doing great work. Stay safe. Wash your hands.